Welcome back, everyone, to the Word Traction Podcast. This is Voda rents Elon's house and G stays in his castle. Voda, if you're saying that that's a familiar name from yesterday's podcast episode, you're right, except that the gods of the internet and other superior beings conspired to destroy my podcast episode yesterday and left me with clips. So you'll be seeing various denunciations of Vladimir Putin and his shady shit floating around later today. But I'm just checking back in with Putin because another overnight since perhaps the most deadly night in Ukraine since the beginning of this round of the fighting, was followed up by another almost 24 Ukrainian innocents dead. So it's important to keep an eye on, why we ask a lot of questions about why is this happening? Why are people allowing certain things to happen? And all good questions. And of course, no really easy answers. But I'll come back to one once we blow through a few minutes here, and just boiling it down as I have to for myself to maintain focus and hope, which is an important and rare diminishing commodity sometimes in the world of the fascist. But we have to find what we can tether our own hope and expectations to in order to effectively marshal on and defeat the fascists. Yeah. So as we were talking about in the episode that was eaten by the monster, Putin is now pulling in just an ungodly amount of daily revenue from pipe gas, LNG, and oil. Ural, I often defame and slander the Ural oil, but guess what? He's got a lot of it. And right now, because the market is how it is, if you watched again today, oil spiking up again over fears that this delicate apple cart on the road to some sort of peace negotiation is in the hands of Donald J. Trump under the influence of Vladimir Putin, Voda in this episode. And of course, Bibi Netanyahu is throwing hand grenades from the other direction. Trump, when he said, I got really angry and I said some bad words to Bibi. Come on, right? We were born at night, but not last night. We've heard your lies before, and everything that you say, Mr. President, we put alleged before and after any sentence, anything you come out with, because the majority of what you say is bullshit, and we know it. It's still harmful. It's still damaging to the republic. It's damaging to our democracy. Obviously, that's part of your plan, or Voda's plan. But knowing that it's all bullshit doesn't mean that you're continuing to spew it is any less damaging. So thank you for that. Thank you for nothing, sir. Yeah. So what can we do as patriots, as citizens, to slow down the completely meaningless death and destruction? Soldiers die in war. Yes. I got that memo. I understand that Ukraine is defending themselves and they are aware of the fact that they will lose soldiers. But what Putin is doing is deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure and apartment blocks. And their Ukrainians know that he does this. They have a a good system of alerts. They have their bomb shelters and their subways and the like. But this has been going on for quite some time. This was in this version. I mean, we're Crimea going way back. This is Crimea. They took Crimea back in Obama. Trump didn't do shit in Trump 1.0 because he was told not to, and all the way through Biden. So there's blame to go around. And now Trump's back in still under the thumb of Vladimir Putin. And what what have what have we done to help our allies in Ukraine? Less and less. Right? What have we done to restrain the enemy of our friend Ukraine, meaning one Vladimir Putin? We have aided him by pausing, which is bullshit in and of itself, sanctions on Russian oil sales. So when they were making 300 million a day is now double that. They're getting exact figures on what Russia is. Putin is not calling in to report daily revenue figures because that would be contrary to his ultimate purpose, which is to remain one of the two wealthiest human beings on the planet. But as long as he is doing that, as long as he is unconstrained, meaning as long as Donald Trump is in office, then he will be able to resupply as he has and soldier on and continue this fight as long as he can. He is doing that just as he is also destroying democracy in his part of the world, in Western and the former Eastern Europe. It is a well executed plan, very bad for democracy, very bad for the U.S. ultimately. But we have a president who's an agent of a foreign government. So what we can do is the same thing we can do against my part 2 of this short podcast. He always says short, doesn't he? Is social media, pairing TikTok and X going towards the midterm elections. You have TikTok, which is under the control, the joint control, we'll call it, of Xi Jinping and Larry Ellison. Neither very comforting. And X under the control of Elon Musk. Elon Musk also, to bring our friend Putin back into the discussion, what Elon Musk does for Vladimir Putin is he does not control for bots, term loosely thrown around, but what they don't control for on their platform is hate speech, of course, Nazi speech, of course, because it's Elon, and other extreme right-wing positions and promoters and influencers. They don't control for that. And at the same time, Vladimir Putin, through the GRU, just as he was running out of Trump Towers in 2014, ahead of the 2016 elections, he can, with impunity, fire as many of his bots into the algorithm and the platform of X. And what he does by doing that, he is able to amplify the speech that he wishes to amplify, that he can suppress the speech. He isn't ultimately calling the shots in every aspect of the X platform, but his relationship with Elon Musk is well reported, and that is, Putin doesn't have a TikTok like Xi Jinping does. The the ruse of what Trump did in saying that, okay, well, we're going to get Chinese influence out of TikTok and we're going to package up the TikTok US, and Larry Ellison is going to control it for us. And we'll be able to ensure absolute security and control for the United States. That is half true, because what they have done is Ellison, Trump, et al., that entire group, has been able to weaponize the TikTok algorithm to support the ultra right wing MAGA part of our government, the Republican Party. At the same time, Xi Jinping ultimately retains control of the algorithm. That is beyond dispute, right? The the part of the big lie that Trump put forth to countermand the court and Congress's decision to ban TikTok in the US said that, no, we're going to control all US citizen data, all of the data collected about US citizens will remain in the control of our dear friend and patriot Larry Ellison, who all he's concerned about is supporting Bibi and allowing Bibi to kill as many Lebanese and people in Palestinians in Gaza as he cares to. So that's not good. That's Larry Ellison's highest calling, as he sees it, is the support of the right wing in Israel. That is Bibi Netanyahu. That is Smotrich, Ben-Gvir, and the rest of the lovely people that you're getting to know more about than you hoped you would ever have to. But it's the same. I was listening to, side note, listening to a couple not Israeli regime media, but pretty damn close. Discussions, one this morning, talking about Zoran Mamdani's decision to not participate in the Israeli Day Parade that was in Manhattan or in New York. And that's a principled decision that he made based on what the influencer class in Israeli almost regime media wants you to believe is that if you are not with Bibi Netanyahu, then you are an anti-Semite. Of course, that is not true. There are plenty of Americans of good conscience that view Netanyahu with the same skepticism. I won't say hate, because that's a terrible word. Skepticism as we view Donald Trump. They're the same guy. They are right wing. They are purporting to be right wing, philosophically aligned individuals. What they are shapeshifters, right? They will align, as Donald Trump has done his whole life when he was pro-life and a Democrat. Donald Trump, your president, yes. Check the tape. What they have done throughout their entire life is chameleon-like, is the nicest way to put it, or a shapeshifter, also like J.D. Vance. They will change in order to exploit shifts in public opinion and to stay in power. Of course, Netanyahu now, it's about staying out of prison. And for Trump, in a way, it is too. So they are aligned in that one particular mission. You can call it ICC avoidance. You can call it the Gorgon at the gate is going to eat, whatever you want. It's the same. They're the same guy in a way, right? Is Bibi as openly corrupt in his day-to-day business as Donald Trump currently is? Nobody isn't. Nobody in history. Al Capone would be blushing right now, you know, what Trump is doing. But again, check the tape. The charges against Bibi Netanyahu, they aren't unfounded allegations. They are, it is, asked and answered, as I was saying yesterday. That is, that is a fact that is done and dusted. Netanyahu's corruption, yes, done, dusted, waiting for the jailer. Trump, same. Tougher in the U.S. as far as what the Supreme Court has had given Trump two extra parachutes and a free travel pass. It's going to be harder, tougher sledding. We'll have to go through using channels like the ICC and relying on state courts, which is, of course, the between New York and otherwise. We're going to hope that we can keep Letitia James in place in her position as the New York Attorney General, and that would just be too delightful. But we need to get there first. We need to arrive alive. And with with Elon and Voda weaponizing the X algorithm against progressive values, positions, and candidates. And then on the other side of the room, Larry Ellison, a cadre of other right-aligned fools, aligned there with Trump to weaponize U.S. TikTok against progressive values and progressive candidates. And then coming over the top of coming off of the top rope is, what does Xi Jinping want to do as far as the U.S. election? You could very reasonably argue. I haven't been talking to Xi Jinping frequently, so he doesn't share his plans with anybody, and let alone some cracker on a rooftop in northern Massachusetts. I'm not first on his daily call list, but I can dream. And you study it enough, then you come up with some possibilities, some scenarios. Right? One thing that Putin, Xi, and other powerful autocratic leaders around the world want is to get that last 2 years of DJT, because he's a punch and he can be moved depending on which way the wind blows. And it doesn't get better after 80. So some could say it doesn't get better after 60, but I'm still hopeful. Yeah. So these are our challenges. This is the only answer to all of going through. Oh no, it's okay. What we'll do is we'll go on Blue Sky, and we'll get Barack Obama and Tay on Blue Sky, and then all of our problems are solved. We can reach lots of people. Blue Sky has a user base of about 15 and a half people, I think. I love Blue Sky. It's fine, but it is, talk about preaching to the choir. That's what that is on Blue Sky. I'm on there on a daily basis because it is a place, a safer place for people with a more progressive alignment. But it doesn't have the reach, and it's too well regulated to allow for the same kind of crazy bullshit that goes on X and TikTok, right? So, but if you've talked to the kids seem to be pretty fond of this whole TikTok thing, and the short form video as I go on and on. That it's all about the clips, and that's how the kids are being reached. Yeah, we can do a better job on YouTube, which is still not regulated by the fascists, but that's one stop. Right? When you have X and TikTok aligned against you, not another platform you can participate on, but just think about it, as a little thought experiment. Think of Tay and Barack Obama making a clip talking about the evils of supporting fascists and the United States government on TikTok, and then they upload on TikTok and on X. And how do you think the algorithm or the actual the thought police are going to maximize, even with the two of the biggest names on the planet on the planet? Do you think that that's going to be shared widely when Larry Ellison and Elon Musk get the report that Tay and Obama are sharing clips on X and TikTok? No, no, that's going to be shit canned or shared with one guy in Brunei and another one in Bora Bora, and they're not connected by they don't have each other's phone number, so that is unlikely to be widely shared. So just, you know, yes, obviously a data scientist yeah, from another mother, but you don't have to be you don't have to be Mr. Amadei in order to reason it out logically that they have much greater reach, and therefore we have to win by other means. We can't say that we're just, oh no, I'm going to just take over TikTok tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. So the one unifying theme, the through line in what we can actually do to balance the inequities of those two positions, the um, Twitter and X, excuse me, Twitter and X are the same thing. TikTok and X is one thing only: turnout. The example, not a perfect analogy, but the example of Hungary is historically high turnout wins. Right? Because if the fascists are planning on us to, midterm elections are not the highest turnout ever, generally. They are more energizing for parties in the opposition, meaning us, be attacking me. So I'm going to try to, yeah. Yes, the perils of being out amongst the wild, where the wild things are, out here in northern Massachusetts on a beautiful sunny day that threatens to get to 80 for 3 consecutive days, which will be a nice change. So we're back to turnout, which is what each and every one of us can do. And I know I repeat this frequently, but I'm not talking to the same people on every episode, and people kind of jump in, jump out. But it's really all there is, unless you're in the position to make a $600 million donation to candidates of your choice. Then, money obviously still works, but what you what we need to do is on that day, or mail in ballot ahead of that day, or option number 3 is make sure that your vote is counted. You participate, you're registered, you're signed up for mail in balloting, you've requested the certified copy of your birth certificate, you have checked and confirmed that both your real ID and your passport are good through 2028. And I'm saying through the presidential election in the next cycle, that you're doing all of those things. So, and that if you're in certain southern states, particularly if you're in the red zone down there will continue to be more shady shit. So if you've been voting at the elementary school 2.5 miles south down the street in front of your house, and you've been voting there for 20 years, don't assume that the voting station is going to the voting the school will be tasked to allow for voting, just as it always has been. Don't assume that because you dropped your ballot in a ballot box in front of the fire station in next door Hendersonville, that voting ballot the ballot box will be in the same place as it was the last cycle. You need to make a plan, right? Do the aforementioned, the register, get all of your family members registered, indicate whether you're going to be voting in person or ordering a mail-in ballot, then focus on the ID, then reconfirm if you're voting in person, where am I going to vote? If I am not able to drive myself, if I am won't say old, we'll say middle-aged guy that can't see well enough to get behind the wheel and you don't want him behind it, then will he make appropriate arrangements to travel to the voting booth with a friend? Or will he do a mail-in ballot, right? And then you have to set a reminder, right? Say, 45 and then 30 days out, have I received the ballot? Has anything changed? Has there been a militia of bearded whack jobs with poor firearms training cavorting around in the sandlot near my kid's school, right, ahead of the elections? So plan B, plan C. I think everybody, they're going to, all sorts of shady shit. Signing up for mail-in balloting doesn't mean you're not allowed to vote in person. It's something that we should all do. I'm going to do it in any case. Well, obviously you can study, you can get all that information online. Things like referendum issues, things that require greater study than just the names. If some people are party line voters, like I'm going in, I'm voting D, 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 D. Doesn't matter the name. Fine. That is your, you have permission to do so if it's D. Yeah. So that is Voda. That is G. That is X. That is TikTok. And the only, and excuse me, the most important point of this entire thing, besides voter turnout, is do as I am doing on a regular basis, just got back at it last night, is making a very, humble donation according to what your means, your ability to do. It's a hard time. There's uncertainty about, employment, about AI integration. How does it affect my job, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to be a hero, but if everybody does a little, do a little, do what little you can. And I'm just talking about Ukraine, because if you put yourself in the place of the families and even the families that didn't lose 24 odd family members for 2 nights in a row, just in this month of June, which is 3 days along, that, it's, if you can, how do I do it? And how do I make sure my money goes to a place that will make the best use of it? Isn't there a lot of fraud? I'm not asking you to send the check to Donald J. Trump, for sure. I would ask you to, do your own research, or UNICEF, right? UNICEF. Easy. Is it targeted for the specific kind of, is that the best charity? Your main focus, your concern is medicine. Are the children of Ukraine going to have enough of necessary medicines to weather this very difficult time? You can't do everything. You can't be everything to all people. Maybe it's clean water. Maybe it's food assistance. Maybe it's something that I'm not mentioning at all. You can on these here interwebs, you can verify what is the most effective way to give in the way that you like to give. We're not making it all about you. It's not about me. It's about not overthinking it. And somebody like, an organization like UNICEF, as the name implies, UN, right? It is UN, it is kids, and it's not going to the White House. So that is, that's going to work. If you are in Europe and you're like, oh, I always do Médecins Sans Frontières, right? Doctors Without Borders. Great. If you are Amnesty International, if you are a regular, you give graciously to them over decades, and you want to don't great. Just you can do a 2-minute check on running the name of the particular charity down, and say, well, this is Billy Joe, the Mark Wayne Mullen charity for former senators. No, the John Fetterman Fidelity to Democratic Value charity group. No, but you can do short work of that. And if you are less than creative about it and you just don't want to think about it, then default to a UNICEF. It's safe. It's rated well every year about the amount of the percentage of the total donation that goes to overhead, goes to admin, and it's proven effective as longer than I've been alive. So do if you as a family can just $5, right? Half of half of a freaking latte in at Starbucks or whatever it is. I'm not diminishing the value of a single dollar or the plea for somebody that has more resources that can do 1,000. Love to all, and just put yourself in that place. I've never lived in a war zone. I've stayed overnight in in Yankees territory, but I've not lived in a war zone, and it's hard to imagine these children waking up every single morning like Groundhog Day and just hearing, the bombs are what you remember from every year of your young life since you've been on the earth. And undoubtedly, if you are a Ukrainian citizen and you've been there, your family's been there all along, and particularly if you're in uh, Kyiv or in the Donbass, then you've lost family members. It's an impact that sometimes we are under assault in the U.S., but we're fortunate in so many ways that we don't have wars fought on our soil, unless it is we, the cracker mafia taking land from indigenous people. Yeah, we do things like that, but it's been more than 15 minutes on that. Just try to put yourself in the place of those nice people and do what you can. So, thus endeth the sermon and the podcast. I will try not to do the same kind of destruction I did yesterday, if that was my doing. It's always my fault, of course. I can collect an array of family members that will share that same assumption with you in a personal way. So, thank you, and we will reconvene. Tomorrow is it's Thursday, so it's Corrupt Connections, and that can be wide ranging. It could be any of the individuals that we talked about earlier, or it could be something new and exciting, and we'll find out. Because of the I'm going to lean uncomfortably close to the camera for a second, and I am not confident that I can do this without more harm. I will eventually, with a laptop setting or otherwise, figure out a way to do this more gracefully. But in the meantime, what I will do is I will stand. I will raise the camera. I'll give you a little shot of sunny green, if not pastures, at least the neighborhood, and take a step towards the door and Dr. Puppy Dog, and get a little shade and disconnect. Wish you a good day, and we'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you, and please be kind enough to stack, restack, subscribe, and all of those things. So thank you. I'm going to do this carefully.